So Joe is using, right?
The Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 meeting of the Columbia School District Board of Directors is called to order. Mr. Cozy, would you mind calculating the probability of me asking you to leave the place?
Let's do it.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Hunter,
Here.
Director Luke,
He's not able to be here tonight.
Director Apple,
He will be a little bit late because he's at another meeting.
Director Simpson,
Here.
Director Pushkar, here, Director O'Brien,
Here.
Director Zalewski,
She is not able to be here tonight.
Director Bogliano,
She is not able to be here tonight.
Director Schreiber.
Here. All right, I will report that we had an executive session part of this meeting where we discussed personnel matters, real estate, litigation, contracts, safety, and we also had a report from our coordinator, our annual school safety and security, which is a requirement for the state each year, and we had that during our exec session. I'll now turn to Dr. Crater for the superintendent report.
Thank you, Director Shriver. There's a few items on the superintendent's report that I would like to cover for everyone here. First, starting off with the Carnegie Elementary School renovation project. As previously shared, the district remains fully committed to the completion of the renovation project at Carnegie Elementary School. However, after reviewing the bid submissions back in April, it became clear that the cost of the project, as originally scoped, exceeded the financial parameters that we had originally established. For that reason, the board agenda includes the rejection of the bids that were put out in April of this year. Back when we had the bid meeting and the public meeting that followed thereafter, we stated that we would work collaboratively with our partners, with Draw Collective, who is our architect of record, and also with Massaro, who serves as our construction management team. We follow through with this commitment, and our goal in working with our partners is to maintain a focus on both the instructional priorities and the infrastructure improvements that are essential and aligned to delivering high-quality educational experiences for our staff and for our students. We're pleased to share that both Draw and Massaro plan to be here with us at our upcoming work session that will be held on Tuesday, June 24th here in the CCC. As a part of that meeting, they will go through and present major elements of the revised plans and outline the next steps to move this project forward. Continued collaboration reflects our commitment to fiscal responsibility while ensuring that students, staff, and the community benefit from a modernized and well-equipped school facility. Also, we do have on the board agenda information about the Solar for Schools. Carleton School District did pursue participation in the Solar for Schools program as part of our commitment to creating a fiscally responsible and forward-thinking learning environment. This initiative aligns with the mission to prepare students for the demands of a changing global society by reducing long-term energy costs and promoting environmental responsibilities. Beyond sustainability benefits, the project offers valuable career readiness opportunities for our students. Should the district proceed, we plan to work closely with our staff and community partners to develop curriculum focused on clean energy and skilled trades. Partnership will empower students to explore real-world career pathways while playing a role in shaping a clean future. However, we are closely monitoring recent federal legislation. This federal legislation that may impact the program's financial advantages. A bill that was recently passed in the House of Representatives could affect the district's ability to access solar-related tax savings if it is also passed in the United States Senate. This may influence the overall return on investment for the district. For that reason, tonight's motion allows the district to accept the $254,683 grant award to support the project while also providing the flexibility to evaluate whether final participation is in the best financial interest of the district. We remain committed to making a thoughtful and informed decision on behalf of our students, our staff, and our community. As it stands right now, the upfront costs with that grant taken into consideration will be approximately $500,000 to purchase the equipment. The return on investment with the project with the solar Panels here on the junior senior high school is expected to be approximately $1.5 million over 25 years. After purchasing equipment and the solar panels are operational, the district does have additional opportunities to sell back electrical or electricity commodities to the utility providers through SRIC credits, adding additional revenue for the district. Solar panel project, as it was scoped out and assessed, could generate approximately 53% of the high school electricity per year. So it is a valuable type of project. However, we are taking into consideration that legislation is taking place at the federal level. Also on the board agenda tonight, we have several change of status positions. As we previously discussed, the district initiated a comprehensive assessment of organizational capacity over the last 8 months. Through this process, the district identified areas of operational strength and areas in which we wanted to grow. The audit provided the board with recommendations for updating employee roles and responsibilities to better meet the needs of our students, our employees, and the community. One of the recommendations from the AOC was to restructure and reorganize administrative responsibilities. Some of these changes led to a change in status for some members of our administrative team. One of the things we recently talked about in our board meetings is student attendance, which continues to be a concern not only here in the Carleton School District, but across the country. Consistent attendance is critical. It directly impacts student performance, engagement, student well-being, and long-term success. It also affects state funding as far as the revenue side that we receive. Pennsylvania Department of Education utilizes average daily membership as a key component in calculating basic education funding. Lower attendance rates can reduce our ADM figures, which in turn can negatively impact the revenue that we receive from the state side. Simply put, when students are not in school, both our learning and our funding suffer. We've also discussed the financial burden placed on districts by resident students who attend charter schools and cyber education programs. These costs are significant and continue to grow each year. Our budget coming up in the 2025-2026 school year has an impact of $1.5 million. We firmly believe that many of these students would thrive in Carleton schools and benefit from the resources, our teachers, programs, and supports that we offer. Moving forward, the district is committed to increasing outreach and awareness of the high-quality educational services that we provide here in the Carleton School District, with the goal of bringing students back to our classroom. Additionally, as part of our efforts to explore alternative revenue sources, the board recently approved a policy of naming rights and commercial advertising. This policy is designed to help generate additional funds to support district operations and programming. Initiatives like this, along with attendance recovery and charter enrollment strategies, require oversight and leadership. To support these efforts, tonight's agenda includes several changes in administrative roles designed to strengthen our capacity in line with our strategic goals. Mr. Loughran, who currently serves as our senior high school principal, will transition into the newly created role of coordinator of educational programs and services. This position will play a key role in supporting initiatives to increase K-12 attendance rates, coordinate district's K-12 online program, with a particular focus on engaging families whose children currently are enrolled in cyber charter schools. Lead efforts to boost district revenue through advertising and naming rights, partnerships with local, regional, and national businesses and alumni to help coordinate our district's health and wellness program. Mrs. Marsha Burleson will assume the leadership role here at the junior senior high school, and the district will begin the process of hiring a new assistant principal to support continued progress at that level. Mrs. Burleson will work to expand the new culture initiatives she initiated this school year in the 7th and 8th grade and bring them into the 9 through 12. This realignment will help us sustain the positive momentum and programming gains that we've witnessed this year with our 7th and 8th grade students, while also expanding support to all secondary students. Also, Dr. Tricia Surdy, who has served as the Director of Special Education and Pupil Services, will take on the role of Director of Student Services and District Psychologist, with expanded responsibilities in student support. Over the past few years, the number of students with mental health and social and emotional needs has increased significantly. Again, this is not just a trend at Carleton, but also across the country. In order to better serve these needs, Dr. Surdy will lead the Student Services Department, which will encompass student mental health, social work, psychological services, counseling services, our student assistance program, along with other student services. Mrs. Amy Jenkins, our business office coordinator, will now serve as human resources and business office coordinator, further utilizing her skills in both operations and personnel. This position will provide a effective and efficient alignment between the business operations, payroll, and human resources. This position will serve as a single point of contact for employees and all human resources questions and support. Also, Mr. Josh Jones will transition from Supervisor of Information Technology to the Director of Technology, which reflects our recent technology department restructuring. As the world becomes more dependent on technology, schools have a critical responsibility to ensure students, faculty, and staff have the instructional and operational technical support needed to be successful. Mr. Jones will take the lead in advancing the district's new technology support initiatives. These are changes that we are extremely pleased with and planning that these shifts will have a direct impact on the services that we provide to our students, to our staff, and to our community at large. On the agenda also, school police officer. I'd also like to share an update in regard to school police officer hiring process. Recently, our interview team concluded the interview process and is recommending Mr. Darren Fisher for board consideration. Officer Fisher currently serves as the chief of police for the Burgettstown Area School District, where he oversees a team that includes both full-time and part-time school security officers. His role requires collaboration with first responders across 4 municipalities, providing him with extensive experience in coordinated school safety efforts. His approach to school policing is rooted in relationship building. Officer Fisher is deeply committed to addressing the social, emotional, and academic challenges students face, including bullying, peer pressure, learning difficulties, and the impact of domestic instability and poverty. He understands how these changes affect student attendance, academic performance, and their overall well-being. In his current role, he is actively involved with the PBIS and SAP teams and regularly works with both in-school and community-based resources to support students and their families. His work is grounded in open communication and positive reinforcement, helping students to develop important life skills such as organization, time management, and study habits. Officer Fisher also plays a critical role in the district's threat assessment team, identifying and responding to potential safety concerns with a strong focus on prevention and early intervention. His professional background includes roles with the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, Pennsylvania Department of Revenue, United States Secret Service, and the Stowe Township Police Department, giving him a well-rounded foundation in public safety. During the onboarding process, Mr. Fisher, the district will ensure that he has been properly certified and completed all mandated trainings, in addition to district prescribed trainings. Officer Fisher is also a 1991 graduate of Carleton. We're confident that Officer Fisher's extensive experience, student-centered mindset, and ties with the Carleton community make him an outstanding candidate for this vital role. Unfortunately, Mr. Fisher was unable to join us this evening. He was scheduled for training sessions that align with his position. We also look forward to introducing him to our community through a variety of communications and events with an anticipated start date in August. Also an update on commencement. Due to the forecasted rain on Friday, graduation practice scheduled for tomorrow morning has been relocated from Carnegie Elementary up here to the junior senior high school. All graduating seniors should report to the auditorium at the junior senior high by 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. This information was communicated to our senior class and their families this afternoon. There is no change to the senior picnic schedule. However, as we approach the commencement ceremony scheduled for this Friday at 7 p.m. at Honus Wagner Stadium, the district will communicate with all students and their families in the event that there is any change to the schedule. These communications will come out with our normal traditional modes of e-blast, text message, social media, and a website, once again, if there's any changes to that. We thank everybody for their flexibility as we move forward for a smooth and enjoyable graduation experience. Also, on the agenda tonight is our operating budget for the 2025-2026 school year, which reflects our continued commitment to key priorities while maintaining our current millage rate with no tax increase. This budget supports several ongoing initiatives aligned with the district's strategic vision, including providing a safe and secure learning environment, delivering a world-class education, expanding academic, athletics, and opportunities in the arts, and protecting the financial interests of our community. Key investments in this year's budget include additional personnel to support students in classrooms, enhanced safety and security measures across all buildings, expanded technology support for students, staff, and their families, new ELA and math instructional materials for specialized classrooms, continued growth in our K-12 STEAM programs, increased support for English language learners, and a new college in the high school course allowing students to earn college credit here on campus. This budget reflects strategic planning and a strong commitment to student success, staff support, and community responsibility. We're proud to present a plan that advances our mission without placing additional financial burden on our taxpayers. To share more information on our 2025-2026, Mr. Bilby has his report in regard to the budget. Mr. Bilby?
Good evening. How is everybody tonight? As Dr. Carter said, tonight we are going to talk about the final budget. A lot of you have seen this presentation over and over again. It doesn't change very much, which actually is a good thing. But unfortunately, numbers, it's not easy to make entertaining. So, maybe next year, a lot of you will know the narrative, you'll hear it. I'll try to change it up a little bit, make it more interesting. But so as Dr. Kreider said, tonight the budget has been prepared over the last 6 months through a lot of discussions with the administrators and with the board. We presented the preliminary proposed final budget at the end of April at the Finance Committee meeting. And basically, the report that you saw there is going to be pretty close to this because there really wasn't very much changes that were made to the budget itself. So tonight I'm just going to quickly go through the highlights of the budget. Stop me at any time if you have any questions, and then we'll move forward. The budget highlights, Dr. Kreider totally took that. I didn't realize he was going to take this from me, so he stole my thunder, but here it is in writing so that you can see. So basically what we do is every year we look at key areas that we want to focus the budget on. We have our normal, salaries, benefits, all those different things, but there's key areas that we are identifying that we need to work on and to look at for budgeting. So these were the key areas that Dr. Kreider did bring up, and the majority of these have been covered in our budget, and most importantly, we were able to do this without raising taxes this year. So that's wonderful. All right, so here we go. To start the budget process, we have to look at where we are today. So looking at this current budget, 24-25 budget, we are right now still really on track with where we budgeted last year. The numbers are coming in very strong for the revenues, and our expenditures they're challenging right now, but I really am confident that we are going to be able to hit our budget and not go over the budget this year. So I'm looking at, as you can see on here, I have a variance in the revenues of an increase of $201,418. And basically what that was is, as we all know, the state, they don't have to get the budget done like we do before June 30th. So just like we did today for this budget, we have to guess what we're going to receive from the state. So basically what this is, the majority of it is the variance or the increase that we did receive in our state funding. And also a lot of it is our interest income is still coming in pretty strongly. We expected a little bit of a drop off, but it really hasn't dropped off at all. We've been really aggressive this year with investing our money, trying to move our money around to get the best interest rates for the district. And that actually is easy money for us to go after, and and it's not something that directly impacts having to use taxpayer money, actually we're using taxpayer money, but not directly having to increase it by increasing taxes. So right now, everything is on track. We're looking good, finishing up the school year at the end of this week, and we'll just move forward, continue this process. So for this budget, final budget, total revenues this year are going to be $37,543,461. The expenditures are going to also be $37,543,461. So it is a balanced budget. We are not anticipating use of any fund balance at this time. As far as the revenues, this is a 3.8% increase of our estimated actuals from the 24-25 budget. And a lot of that is we are continuing to look at the revenues, the grants that we have been receiving, and also the state, as we all talked extensively about last finance committee meeting. There's supposed to be huge increases that are coming to us, but we all know right now that it probably is not going to be realistic. So what we did is we look at the historical amounts of revenue that we've received from the state in the past. So it's been averaging maybe about 3%. I think this year they're anticipating 5 to 6% increases for us, which we all know is not going to be realistic. So I went with the 3%, so 3% increase for that. Also, I know Dr. Taylor has been working through our, looking at our finances from the past, our reportings from PIMS, and trying to recoup some money that the district is due to receive. So we have found some money that will help us there too. So that's where we're looking at the revenues increasing. As far as the expenditures, they are a 4.3% increase from the budgeted expenditures from 24-25. And let's go through. So what we'll do is go through it. So revenues, as you've seen this before, the biggest takeaway that we have on this slide is where is our money coming from? And as you can see, the local sources, we get funds from local sources, state sources, and also from the federal government. Local sources, as you can see here, is $24,277,615 of our total revenues. So that represents 65% of our money is coming from the taxpayers. So the reason why I bring that up is it tells us, every decision that we make is directly going to impact all of you. So we have to absolutely look at every option that we have to be able to give the quality education to the children, the security and everything that is entailed, and keeping in mind that every decision we make is going to affect your taxes. So as you can see from here, this big yellow box here, that represents $21,797,440 worth of taxes that are acquired through the residents of this district. Earnings from investments, $650,000. That there again is what I was saying, by us consistently looking at different investment options and keeping our fingers crossed that the rates continue to stay pretty steady. The state, I don't know what really we can say about the state, except the state is $11,953,477. That represents 32% of our total budget. That number over the last few years has increased, but it's still, as you can see, there's too much of a gap, too much of a variance. So a lot of the issues that we, talk about in our finance committee meetings, about charter school reform, different opportunities that the state can give more money to the districts to help alleviate some of the costs, to the taxpayers. Also, the federal government, as you see, it's just 1,312,368. 3% of our budget comes from the federal government. So most of that is through our Title I, Title II, our Title II and Title V programming. Some of it is from medical assistance, and that number actually has been shrinking every single year. I mean, the last few years it was up because of the ESSERs, but we can count on the federal, but not too much for that. So, questions on the revenues? All right, as far as the expenditures, you all seen this pie chart before, and the big takeaway about the pie chart is if you look at the blue and the orange, what that represents is the amount of money that is in this budget that is going directly towards the kids. So we're looking at approximately 95% of our expenditures are going directly to the kids. So you have your direct instructions, you have your support services, those two make up that 95%. You have debt and transfers, which is 2.2%. That number has gone up just a little bit because we have in the budget the money to cover a bond issue for our Carnegie project that we're looking at doing this year. And then the final part of it is the non-destruction. It's 3%. Non-destruction, which I know Director Simsick asked me last time to stump me, but basically what that is that's our athletics, our student activities, that's all lumped into that area there. So that's money that doesn't directly impact the education of the students. So if we dive down a little bit deeper into it, when we look at where is that money being flowed, as you can see, personnel costs is 68% of the actual expenditures, or around 25.5 million. What that is basically all of the salaries for all of the employees. That's all of our benefits, and anything that has to do with salaries and the benefits. That number is pretty consistent no matter what district that you go into. It's always going to be the highest cost driver for the expenditures. Medical insurance costs went up 5.7%, which the reason why I put that in there is over the last couple of years, the medical costs have increased quite a bit for all around. The advantage that we have is we are in a consortium through the Allegheny County School Health Insurance Consortium, and what that has done is it takes 45 schools, puts all of the costs together as one pool, and then that's how we're able to keep the costs down low. Last year, I believe we were at 9%. The year before, we were at 13%. Talking to some of my fellow business directors at other districts that are not in this consortium, right now they're looking at 15 to 20% increases. So it's really a good cost saver that we have by being in this consortium. PSERS rate, we always talk about PSERS rate. Last year it went down for the first time in, I don't know how many years, 15 years or so. This year, it did go back up. It went up 0.01%. So it was minor. It looks like we finally have gotten to that point with PSERS that it's starting to level off. When I say level off, it's still going to be sitting at the 34, 35, 36%. And it's going to last probably for another 10, 15 years. And then it should supposedly will drop down and help the district. The PSERS increases has probably been one of the #1 influences that has affected why many districts, and especially our districts, have had to raise taxes over the past several years, or not several years, over the past 20 years, let's say, whenever they started the increases. So PSERS, we're always constantly aware of it and watching it. The debt, I've already talked about that. That's the debt that we have set up for the Carnegie construction, and also for our current debt that we have. And then with tuition, 9.2% of our budget is going towards tuition. And when I talk about tuition, what I'm saying, it's not the tuition of the kids here, but it's tuition of the kids that are in the charter schools, kids that are going, are being outplaced for special education reasons. So that is 2.6 million of our budget. It's a pretty considerable amount of our budget. And as you can see with the charter schools, and we consistently talk about the charter schools and everything, that we have approximately 90 kids, give or take 10 plus or minus, for probably past 6, 7, 8 years. So that's something that I know Dr. Crowder had brought up earlier, that this is something that if we can pull these kids back, some of these kids, it's going to get direct savings and automatic savings in the district. And when we look at the cost, a regular ed student at a charter school costs us $19,085, so $19,086. For special ed students, the brick and mortar schools, they charge us $40,950.67 for every student that they teach. At the charter schools, the state gave us a little bit of a break. So as of January 1st of 2025, we are paying cyber schools $37,819.10. So it's a savings of $3,000 per student if they're going to a cyber school, which we all realize it doesn't cost us that much in a public school to educate a student. But it's something that is consistently going through. I know that currently there is a bill that is moving through the state. But this has happened probably every year, 3, 4, 5, 6 years now.
So for the cyber schools, you stated that tuition of what, like 37,000?
37.
Is that like regardless of special ed or not? And how do they?
No, the regular ed, they have the same. They give us a little bit of a break on the special education students. So that's what it is. So right now, they're looking at some kind of relief for the district. I don't know if we're going to see it in the next couple of years or not. What they basically, and I say this loosely, is that they threw us a bone this year. They gave us a little bit of money to offset how much, I believe we received $80,000. So they gave us $80,000 to help us with that $1.5 million. 6, 7 years ago, they used to give us 50%, the state used to. So that's why it has really been a big burden on not just our school district, but a lot of school districts. Charter schools continuing, just like Beezer, continuing watching, continuing trying to find ways to get these kids to come back to the district. And then finally on here, another big one is transportation. It's 5.4% of the budget, or $2 million. And when we talk about transportation, it's not just the transportation of getting kids in the district to this school, but we also have to take every child that is in parochial school or charter school within a 10-mile radius of our border, and we have to transport those kids on the district's cost. So when I talk about transportation, that's where the cost grows, and that's another situation that actually correlates to with our tuition. For every child that we're able to pull back from a charter school or from a special ed outplaced school, we're going to save that transportation as well. Any questions on the expenditures? Okay. All right, so for this year, the tax assessment and millage. So the tax, the millage rate is going to be 28.5082, which is the same rate that it was last year. 1 mil generates 730,182. So basically what that is you take the assessed value, which I should have put on there, and the assessed value for the district right now is 730,182,715, which this year it was a slight decrease of $2 million. And I say slight, $2 million is a lot, but if you're looking at the 730, million that is their assessed value. But you take that, divide it by 1,000, that's how we figure out how much each mill, so every mill that we have, so we take the 28 mil, you can times that by the rate, or the 730,000, that will tell us how much we will receive for our taxes, for tax increases. Now, part of that, we do receive a tax reduction allocation from the state through the gaming. And basically, what that's called is the homestead exemption. And that's something that every resident, and we ask and we try to tell everybody and get out there, you need to sign up for this. Because basically what this is we take that 845,000 and we divide it by how many people have signed up for the homestead. And as you see this year, we had 3,161 that were approved for the homestead. So basically what that does is you just take the 845 divided by the 3161. Everybody that has a homestead exclusion will receive a reduction of their taxes by $268.18. And then I just added that the median household assessed value is $109,800, which actually that's the first increase that the district's had probably in the last 5, 6, 7 years. So the values are going up. So that doesn't mean anything really for us or any taxes. It's just a general, this is what a median household.
Keith, on the homesteads, who calculates and approves the homestead exemptions?
Who calculates them?
Yes, the county?
No, what the county does is the county receives the applications and the county will go through and they'll send the district, myself, a list of all of the residents that have actually been approved for their homestead. So then what we do is it's just a simple calculation is we just take the 845,000 and then divide it by that many amounts of people. But there is one thing that is in there, and if you look at the motion that we're going to approve today, the homestead, there's a step-by-step that shows exactly how we go through the process and do it. Because what it does is it sets a minimum level. So I believe for the district, it was like $9,900. What that minimum level means that is if you have an assessed value less than that 909, you're not authorized to get that exemption. So then we take that exemption and then spread it out amongst all 3,160 people at that time. So there's different calculations that we do, but we do it here at the district. So I just threw in here just a 5-year history, starting with the COVID. Our millage rates, as you can see, right now, our millage rate is the same as last year, so there is no increase. So that was basically the budget itself. So the capital reserve fund. What we like to do is we like to show you the capital reserve fund. This is the money that we set money aside, or we allocate money from the budget to go into strictly capital projects that we do around the district. Paving, roof replacement, buying of computers and vehicles, different things like that. The only problem, or the only, not problem, but the only thing with the capital reserve fund is that once the board allocates that money over to this capital projects fund, we can never take it back. And it cannot be used for anything but the capital projects plan. So basically, this past year, we did do a transfer of $305,550, and where we come up with these numbers is I sit down with Mr. Pater, Mr. Jones, and Dr. Kreider, and we take a look at a 5-year plan of projects that need to be done. So basically what we're doing is we're being proactive instead of being reactive. So when we have the ability to put some money in to do some paving or to fix a roof or fix an area that needs to be fixed, we're going to ask you to allocate some money over to and then what we basically have to do is it's only if we do have that little bit of extra cash or, expenditure or revenues that we can expend over to there, so. This year, there is none. The reason why I say that we didn't put anything in there is, we do have them 1,020,000 in the capital projects right now, which will handle the next 2 years' worth of capital projects that we know that have to be done. Plus, we're gonna be going out for the bond. And the Carnegie project is actually gonna take a lot of those little check marks off of our list, so. That's basically the capital reserve. And this is it, just a quick overview, questions. Next year I'll make it more lively, more, I'll do jazzy, we can do that. Any questions?
Keith, on the capital reserve fund,
Uh-huh.
what's the percentage interest?
It's basically, it goes through, it's in our dollar bank, so whatever the dollar bank interest rate is, it's, right now, I think it's 3.5% or 3.6%. I don't have the exact number right now. But the money, it's, even though it's in a different fund, it's still in a separate bank account at Dollar Bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other budget questions? If I could ask an obvious question to reiterate the problem that you have, to clarify, the state is supposed to finish their budget by June 30th to tell us what we're gonna have, what money we're gonna be allocating next year, but we don't have that information yet, so we're taking a guess, and it may get delayed. The federal government, there's some changes happening there, and their allocations might change, so there's a lot of uncertainty that you're.
Very much so, very much so. And my group, that I'm a member of, the Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials, we've had several meetings in the last couple of months with a lot of the local representatives. And basically what they're telling us right now is, I believe they haven't even looked at the budget from what they said, the state budget yet. They're going to start going back, I believe, I don't know if it's this week or next week, they're gonna really start looking into it, but basically what they've told us is, until the federal government tells them how much they're going to give to the state's not even gonna worry about our budget. Because a lot of the increases that Governor Shapiro has said is using some of the fund balance. So, of course, you have so much opposition of using the fund balance, not knowing what you're gonna get in. So, they basically told us to buckle up and it's gonna be a long fight. So, we asked them, I can't remember what year it was, 4, 5, 6, no, it was actually probably 8 years ago, when the state budget didn't get passed until, I believe it was January or February, and it caused a lot of hardship on a lot of the districts. So they basically said they don't think it's gonna go that far, but they don't know. So we basically are on our part, we're doing everything we can to avoid us coming into that situation where we're not gonna be getting our subsidies right away. Because basically with no budget, no money is released to the district. So, one of the things, and I believe we talked about it in April, is, I consistently wanna invest so much money, so I've had to pull that money back, just so that we have it, so that we don't have to, break a CD or have to go out for different things, so. Unfortunately, that's my world right now, we constantly have to look at all the unknowns. Okay. Okay.
That concludes our administrative reports. Yeah, any questions?
Team, any questions or comments?
You have a question for you, Dr. Kreider, about a few things in the administrative report. So the Solar for Schools grant opportunity was a tax rebate that was allowed for under the previous federal administration. It currently has been rescinded by the House of Representatives. And now the vote is at the Senate to see whether or not that Solar for Schools program will be able to continue. So us having the ability to reduce our overall electric bills over the next 10 years is in part contingent upon whether or not the US Senate continues that tax credit.
Right. As far as that tax credit goes, what we projected was the $1.5 million in savings over the 25 years. if those tax benefits do not go through, that's the challenging part is to rerun the numbers to find out what the actual savings will be. Without those numbers, it would still be a savings to the district, but it's certainly not nearly as close to the 1.5 million. It might be anywhere between a half to 2/3 less than that 1.5 million. So you're looking somewhere between $500,000 to $750,000 potentially.
And is the PA Solar Center, who helped us pro bono develop that list of the capital staff needed, are they going to continue to work with districts pro bono if those tax credits go away, or will that remove their funding too, and then the district will be on its own?
I'm not 100% sure of what's in the federal guidelines with that, but it's very possible that their funding would be restricted also. So a lot of legislation that's going through the federal government that is having an indirectly having a direct impact on schools. That you don't necessarily see where those cuts are coming from. They're in other organizations, but they are coming into the educational side of things.
So if local taxpayers were interested in keeping their tax bills lower by reducing our electric bills, a call to Senator McCormick
Senator McCormick, yes,
would be a well-placed call in this moment.
100%.
The second question that I have for you is related to the change of status positions that you talked about. Thank you for laying that out so clearly, but we've been having this conversation for a year at various meetings, and so there are lots of things that have shifted and changed, and I just want to make sure that I'm up to speed on all of them. Because there are several positions that changed within this change of status. We also added an assistant superintendent position in the past year, but Dr. Taylor's position was a position that replaced a previous administrative position that retired, and we did not rehire for that position. So that was not a net new position, correct?
Right.
But in the change of status that you just went through, there is one new position. So we've seen one new net administrative position over the last year that we'll vote on tonight.
That is correct.
Okay.
The only other one that's in there is the school police officer position. That's not an administrative position. But nonetheless, it's an additional position, but it's also mandated by the state that we have a security officer on site as well.
So in the past year and a half, 2 years, we'll have added 2 new non-instructional positions. Administrative, the school police officer, as well as this new position that Mr. Loughran is shifting over into.
That's correct.
The school police officer is mandated.
Correct.
And from what you said and what we've discussed, the new position that Mr. Loughran will be going into could affect some of the revenues that we're able to recoup from the state. If we're able to use that position to increase student attendance, yes, it helps on the academic side, absolutely. The more students are here in the building, the better. But it also means that the state reimburses us at a higher rate based on our daily attendance.
Correct.
So we're looking at one new administrative position that's required by law, one new administrative position that we hope will be revenue positive potentially.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, the goal of the structure of that position there is to be revenue producing and also have the academic side to it as well, for the benefit of our students.
I have a question. So can you just, because Dr. Cerny is so valued here in this district, can you just talk a little bit about what change, like I know her title's changing, what changes are we going to see in her day-to-day?
Yeah, so with Dr. Cerny, she originally moved from the district psychologist position this past year, out of the district psychologist position and into the interim director of special education and pupil services. So basically what she's doing is she's moving back into the role of the district psychologist, but also picking up a student services aspect of that. And that piece is being pulled from the director of special education and pupil services. We're looking to fill in as just the director of special education as opposed to in the pupil services. So part of that role. So those 2 roles are very much equivalent as far as the workload on those 2 positions. But she will continue to, in her previous role with the district psychologist, is to oversee the psychological needs of our students, the mental health supports, which also blends into all the student services that we do through our CHILL project, our staff teams, our school counselors, and having that oversight of that programming as well. So it blends a lot of her natural skills, and quite honestly, I think a lot of her passion into that position.
So our families who are used to interacting with Dr. Surdy will continue to, and
Many will continue. She will still be involved with special education, but not overseeing the special education component directly. But a lot of her work deals with mental health and quite often deals with special education students receiving services in a lot of different capacities. So she'll still be inherently connected to the students as well. Yes.
thank you.
Two good questions, let me pile on. So I heard you say that Mike's taking on a key role, Dr. Surdy is adding to her key role already. So Marsha Burleson, all the success that we saw her have for 7th and 8th grade this year, you're looking to take that and replicate that, but across the entire high school, is that correct?
I don't know if it's that, if it wrapped a lot of her success, I'll speak for her even though she's in the room here, a lot of her success that we've recognized this year in the 7th and 8th grade was building that school culture, that climate, working on both the staff side of things and the student programming side, with the Ron Clark Institute, the institution of the houses, instituting PBAS model. So it's not necessarily replicating houses going 7 through 12, and I want to make sure we keep that clear. But it is generating a culture of engagement with our students that will certainly have an impact on continue that model in 7th and 8th grade, but then also have additional services and different type of approach to 9 through 12 as well.
Engagement's the key
Correct.
word, yeah.
Yes.
So take the success we've had with engagement at the 7th and 8th level and expand it.
And the nice part there is you have kids that are coming through that 7th and 8th grade model right now, that as they move through the senior high school part of their experience can take some of those experiences with them.
And then lastly, the rest of the folks on that list all have key roles that would do really important stuff for the district. Many of them are getting additional pieces or stepping up in responsibility and just kind of recognizing their contributions to the district.
Correct, and all that was taken through the assessment of organizational capacity to increase the workflow and give more single points of contact for individuals so that there's not multiple points of contact, which adds to some of the confusion.
Other questions, comments? That was a long report, but it was a lot of good information, so hopefully it's awakened, alert, and take patience. Shifting to committee reports, so Board Rappel, anything you want to share about Parkway West?
Well, thanks. That's where I was before I came here, so this is hot off the presses. So I guess the big news is folks might have been aware of the bankruptcy of Pittsburgh Technical College, which is about 3 or 4 miles down the road from Parkway West. Barnes and Scala was put in charge of disposing of the assets in the bankruptcy. As part of a review of the needs and capacity of the existing Parkway West facility, we're kind of butting up against the limit of how much space we have of. Not only in terms of the building, but just the traffic around the building. So, looking at that and what it would cost to renovate and improve those facilities Parkway West is currently at, during that period of time, this district technical college opportunity came up. And so tonight the board voted to offer a letter of intent to purchase that. Amazingly, for $12.2 million. And it includes the building, which is enormous and modern. It includes a second building, which has a welding facility and some other classroom facilities in it, and 44 acres. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity. Now, what's going to happen is that each of the boards in the jointure districts are going to have to approve the purchase, because each of the boards are going to have to float a bond or pay their share of what the total cost is going to be. Because as a jointure, Parkwood West can't legally borrow money. They can't make their own bond. So it's a pretty exciting opportunity because and I have some attendance, there are some enrollment figures here as well. As of June 2024, the enrollment is 1,308 students. The 2024-2025 enrollment ended up at 1,410 students, and it's growing. So what happens then is that you know, you have a capacity out there, and if a student is interested in a program out there, and there's not a slot for it, by law we have to find a replacement, which could be at a different career technical center in the area, and that becomes quite pricey. So the other side of that is that Parkway West, as of now, attracts a number of students from outside the jointure, and they pay a tuition, which reduces the cost for the districts in the jointure. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you run out the capacity at Parkway West, you can't have those students come in to help reduce the costs, and you know, it's a harder situation to deal with financially. So that's the big news. The other things out there are, there's an outdoor welding lab contract for that's being put out for bids. We're estimating that's going to cost about $540,000. But the good news is about $500,000 of that is grant money. So, and you know, there's some change orders in that, so it's really hopefully that $500,000 in grant is going to cover that thing. They had their graduation at Parkway and at Robert Morris University, which was a huge success. And finally, this has gone on a long time, big change next year in the student handbook is that because of the lack of parking at Parkway, 11 to 12 graders are going to drive next year. So currently, if you're a 10th grader and you're 16, you can drive out there. So they're really kind of running out of space for that as well. I think that's probably all I have, except to say that Parkway won't be meeting in July or August, so our next meeting is in September. So no updates.
That's great news.
It's pretty astounding. 44 acres, 2 buildings, $12.2 million. Whenever we're trying to do elementary.
That includes furnishings on the inside, lab.
Well, you know, you're right. Sorry, thanks for reminding me. And it's not just the building, it's like the contents of the building. So there's 2 med surg labs that are fully equipped. That stuff's still in there. There's computers everywhere. There's desks, office furniture, you know, all sorts of things. It's pretty astounding. You know, that's the price that we're able to get.
And the other piece is when you started with Parkway, their attendance was 700-800 kids.
Yeah, I mean, so over the last, I have the figures here somewhere, but it's been growing pretty exponentially, especially since the pandemic. And the idea that, you know, career and technical education means that you can graduate with a certificate and you can go to work the next day and continue your education, hopefully on your employer's time, but avoiding a lot of the crippling debt that college students yeah, it's a pretty exciting time for technical education. That facility, which is just down the road, it's just,
Okay, so I have a couple questions. So if you get that facility that's down the road, are you gonna use both? Is one question. And then the second question, what's the most popular program at Parkway, and, you know, what's expected to grow?
yeah. Well, I'll take the second question because those numbers are right. And it's the easiest one to answer. The largest program is cosmetology, but pretty close to that is healthcare occupations technology, veterinary assistant technology, and then the construction cluster rotation, which includes carpentry, electrical, HVAC. So, as far as what will happen with the, everything goes to plan, because, you know, it's a letter of intent. Each of the districts have to agree to what happens. I guess what I'd say about that is it's gonna take a couple of years, because this was a career technical college, which had a different kind of layout, similar to the district. And so some things are gonna need to be done to renovate that and add on to the facility to enable us to, the automotive stuff. It's the first one that comes to mind. That cost is to be determined, but hopefully it will only take a short period of time, 2 school years to get that all up and running, at which point then there's the Parkway West facility that exists now until South. And that money can come back to the districts. Which, you know, I mean, it could be a very valuable property depending on uses. I think there's already some interest in it, but it's a lot closer to interchange. Okay.
Sure.
Sorry. Is there a timeline for when Carlington needs to make the decision on whether or not to sign on to the letter of intent? I mean, when will we know what the financial cost would be to this district?
Right. So, Dr. Copeland you'll have an email, I'm sure. You can leave with the superintendents and business managers, gathering them together to talk about the project and to present the costs. The timeline we're looking at is hopefully having that approved by the districts in the September timeframe, because a lot of districts don't do during the summer. So that's the idea, and we'll have closing on the property in a couple of months. I'm not an expert.
Any other questions? Dr. Honchar, any update on the?
Thank you, Jim. Renee Kazusko, our principal, she gave us the reports on May 21st. It's sort of a short report. First of all, we have 85 students right now. We're gonna have a record graduation of 17 kids. But 5 of those kids will return, since the state allows them to come back up until their 22nd birthday. So we're gonna drop, but then Parkway, Pathfinder is so important that we have a waiting list for kids to come in. So the attendance will probably be about 85 in the fall. Let's see, tomorrow is graduation at 10 a.m. if anybody wants to come. And our Carlington student who will graduate tomorrow is Adam Hoss. Anybody related to Adam? Congratulate him. I'll be congratulating him tomorrow, okay? And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Director Zaleski is not able to be here tonight. There are, Dr. Kreger, any updates on Shannon?
Nothing from Shasta, no.
Okay. Director Vogliano has a work commitment tonight, so she's not able to be here. Anybody have any PSBA or legislative topics they want to bring up? Nope. Director Simsek, Foundation.
The foundation is actually meeting tonight, so I'm missing that meeting. However, on their behalf, I do, and I know they're gonna talk about, Taste of Carlton, what went well, we need to change. For next year, they're talking about the golf outing, so planning the next event. But they had asked about an update on the Time Kettle project, so what can I tell them about where that stands?
I'll send in the most recent quotes that I have by the end of the week.
And Chris, I think last time you had a date for the golf outing, do I remember correctly, September?
Did you? September
5th-ish.
I'm
I'll look
gonna
on the
say the
website.
6th, I'm pretty sure it's the
This was
6th.
early in September this year, okay.
I'll-
I'll look on the website. All right, that's always fun, fun of that. Any questions for any of our committee reports? If not, Rose, you're gonna have to carry the load. Your partner in crime is AWOL today.
I know. He said that due to family matters, he couldn't be here, but
Understood.
that's okay, I can still carry it.
Sounds good.
Hello, my name is Rose Highfield, and I'm the student representative for the junior class, and hopefully soon to be the senior class. And I'm honored to be here and talk about kind of the fun things that students do other than schoolwork. To start, it's safe to say since the year is ending, it's kind of hard to find things that are exciting and interesting that's happening with students, but I think we can all appreciate prom night, and everyone was very excited. It was a beautiful experience, and all the students who participated in promenade got to pose and got their pictures taken, and the audience saw their outfits. And the Renaissance Hotel, where the prom was held, really did fit the Hollywood theme, and everyone really liked it, and beautifully set up, I loved it. And they accommodated those with allergies, and the dinner was very fancy, everyone said. And additionally, there were vendors at the event that did like fun activities, and so they did a permanent like bracelet, like I got like a permanent bracelet, which can be very pricey outside of the events. Everyone was really excited about that. But there was even a fun like 360-degree like photo booth that spun around and took like different angles and pictures of the students that like stood in the middle of the circle, and so everyone really enjoyed that. And then everyone got LED like sunglasses and wands, and we got to wave them around as it got darker. But overall, it was a blast. And also on May 30th, Mrs. Fianos held CHS's annual chalk day. That allows students to kind of pick a picture or photo that they want to design, and they get to draw it with chalk in front of the school. And it's a lot of fun, and allows those art students to be able to kind of indulge in their favorite hobby while also elevating the exterior of the school. But sadly, it did rain, so we had to go inside, and we weren't able to finish it, but it was still fun either way. And as for new business, tomorrow, Cronington Student Government is having their last meeting, and they will briefly introduce and talk about the new officers that they picked, and as well as new ideas and plans that they have. And they'll also need to kind of recognize what they need to work on and go on from there. But in terms of profits for the Cougar Cafe, based on their collab and frequent drinks that they came up with this year, I think that the profit has actually benefited in Starbucks, which is good. And additionally, graduation is coming up on Friday, June 5th, and students are excited but very sad to leave the school that they spent most of their life at, unless they obviously move from the future. But that being said, graduation is very bittersweet, and it unlocks a new chapter into their lives and kind of creates a shift into having independence and ultimately leading to adulthood, which I think is great. But last but not least, students are very eager for summer, and there are very good opportunities to still be productive instead of laying around. But students can take advantage of the free gym membership that the school provides and volunteer opportunities, and as well as even getting a job to go to in the free time. But of course, summer is a fun time and overall a good break from schoolwork. So it's very relaxing and motivating. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions for our student? I think we all can thank you and Mateo, for your service this year. It's been great to have this. This was an experiment for all of us, but we appreciate everything you brought to the table, and hopefully we'll see you next year in a different seat.
I'll be moving over just a little bit.
The two of you were great starts. Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
All right, before we move on, any other questions from board members on any of the committee or student work? Okay. Now we have public comment on items that are on our agenda before we do any voting. I'll remind everybody that we try to stick to a 3-minute time limit, but I know there's a ton of stuff on the agenda tonight, so we're gonna try to be as flexible as possible to try and be respectful for your peers and for those of us up here. Dr. Taylor, who do we have signed up tonight for public comment on the agenda items?
First is Brittany Bova.
Brittany Bova.
Hello. So I do have one question about the funding, the transportation. Do we only provide like school bus transportation to those kids that go to like charter, or do we do bus passes?
We do bus passes also.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, there's some charter schools down in Pittsburgh where buses and vans can't get into.
Okay, so we do. Okay. So after listening to everything, I've kind of changed some of my questions. But as I've referenced before, I'm reading that book right on their behalf, and it really talks about how to change school boards to be student-focused and not adult-focused. And it talks about setting goals and guidelines. And so with this new position Mr. Lochran has, I'm just curious, is the board going to be setting measurable goals? And how often would those be reviewed and feedback shared with taxpayers? For example, like, before he started, so I think it said July 1st, what is the attendance rate in the district? So 4 months, what's the attendance rate? 6 months, what's the attendance rate? And I'm not saying it's gonna improve, but like, are we gonna be measuring things like that to see like, is he effective in his job? That doesn't mean he's not good at the job, but is it effective? Is he the right person? So is that something you guys are gonna be like setting goals?
We try to
for?
measure lots of statistics to make sure that we're on the right track. So the administration handles all of that, and I'm very confident they'll have measurements on that role as well as all of our other roles.
But like, are you gonna be setting specific goals given his new, like, sorry, I wrote it down, what he was, overseeing.
Brittany, while you're looking at that, we just want to be careful not to get into too much specifics on a particular job or a person.
I just wanna make sure I have what he's overseeing correct, because that was not in it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. But I can request a right to know. So he's overseeing, what's he overseeing, sorry, what is his new position overseeing? I tried to write it down really fast, but I couldn't.
The main tenets had to do with attendance, cyber charter,
Okay.
naming rights, finance, and wellness,
Okay, and is this position 10 or 12 months?
10 months.
10 months, okay. And then you guys had mentioned, you're gonna be hiring a special ed director. Is this gonna be like a new position, or it's gonna be internally? My son has special education, so I'm just trying to figure out who would be the contact person in the interim.
We look to hire a new person for that role, right? So just like any other position, if it's vacant, then it moves to the supervisor as far as the point of contact, which in this particular case would be Dr. Taylor.
So, and is that position hopefully gonna be for the new school year coming
Yes.
up? Okay. Sorry, and just so you guys know, the agenda that was provided to the boroughs, they did not know it was updated, so it's very out of date. It doesn't have a lot of the new information in it, so if you're gonna update it, you may wanna let the boroughs know ahead of time.
It's only one change.
Well, it has 2 sections not listed in the, so I think that's everything.
Dr. Taylor, anyone else sign up?
The next one is Reese Smith.
Reese.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Carter, for the discussion at the beginning about the changes that answered most of my questions. I guess since the remaining ones, so the coordinator of educational programs and services, so that's a new role, right? Very new role created. Now, did the board approve a job description or role? Because I know we've been going and discussing, well, you guys have been discussing the new school police officer, so that came before the board, that job description or role or policies. Is there anything that came before the board to vote on that, or just?
So the board doesn't approve job descriptions.
Okay.
Generally, what we've done is once the positions are approved, then we'll post as informational content for those job positions. So that one will be posted at our next board meeting coming in August.
Okay. And so the description of the jobs, they all mention reference to certain agreements and stuff like that and accessing. So are the salaries of these positions, are they publicly in that public information, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys know what the pay differential between being the principal of the senior high to now being that newly created position?
So that'll be publicly available. Once the document is approved by the board, then it becomes publicly consumable document. We post it on our website as with all of our other employee agreements. So it will be there for public inspection. There's also websites across the state of Pennsylvania that you can go through and you can find the salary of any public school district employee just with a simple web search as well.
Okay, but you don't know what it is right now, just to let me know right now.
Correct.
Okay.
Because it's not approved.
Right.
It's not approved.
Well, if you were to approve it, I guess would be the question, yeah. And then I guess my main question is, with all these changes, what is the impact to basically the budget? And was that incorporated? I know it hasn't been approved yet. So are the budget impacts that incorporated into this sort of implementation? Perfect, thank you.
Dr. Taylor, next.
Next is Lisa Smith.
Lisa.
Hello. I had some of the same questions that Reese had. Some of the questions were answered. I guess Facebook was a Twitter and everybody was paying attention. So, you guys got it all out there. Wouldn't it have been easier to just put it on a sheet so that we knew ahead of time and nobody got their panties in a twist? That's one thing. You were talking in the beginning about the kids aren't coming to school. When the kids aren't coming to school, when you get them back into school, is anybody sitting down and talking with them and asking them why they're not coming? I mean, are we charting this out? Is it home problems? Is it because the kids, you can't cope? Is it because school sucks? I mean, what is the reason they're not coming, and are we charting this? Another thing you have here is about the solar. And I heard what you said, and I listened to all that, but what is going to be the upkeep and the maintenance per year on them? Is that factored into all of this? Because I didn't hear anything about that. I heard what we would have to put in, what it was going to be matched. I heard, what we could possibly make over 20 years. But what is the annual upkeep on these? And did anyone do the math to find out if it's worth it? Let's see. Another thing was, I had things written down, and then you guys clarified some things, so I'm a little scattered, I'm sorry. The next thing was, did Mr. Lochran, the principal Lochran, did he ask to be changed? Did he want to move, or he was just being moved? And you kind of answered that you are going to be looking to hire a new vice principal then. And is it a vice principal, or is it going to be the 7th and 8th grade principal, and Ms. Burlinson will just go up to the high school? What is actually?
Lisa, we don't want to get into personnel stuff too deeply, but Mike is a valued member of the team, and Mike saw a need. We saw his skill set, and we thought it was a great alignment. So I think,
Okay.
I don't know if.
That's good enough, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, and so are we hiring a vice principal, or are we hiring a junior high principal?
Assistant principal.
An assistant principal, okay.
Dr. Taylor, any other questions?
There are no other agenda.
All right, awesome. Thank you. There will be a time at the end for general open questions. Board, I'll move on to our next section where we have minutes from previous meetings. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Not will vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 4, we have 4 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve those 4 items that are miscellaneous.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 5, we've got a bunch of items. I'll entertain a motion to approve all 13 items under section 5. Susie is,
You have to look at 5 and 6. Looks like
we can name it, sir. Yes. So, can we have the motion before we name it, sir, or do we have the name?
Technically, you're supposed to have a motion in a second prior to discussion.
Okay, so, fair point. Susie's point is 100% correct. Let's have a motion. Let's get the item on the table, and then we can add details to it. Moved and second for a 1 through 13 under section 5.
so moved.
Moved.
Second.
Second, thank you. Any questions or discussions?
So we do need to add a treasurer for the school board. Director Zalewski has done that for the past year, but she has been called into some work obligations.
I have a motion to nominate Director O'Brien as the treasurer.
I second.
Wonderful. I forgot to open nominations, but I appreciate you
I'm
jumping
just
into it.
jumping
So
in there.
that's fantastic. So I'll entertain a motion to close nomination. Oh, first of all, any other nominations for treasurer? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to close nominations for treasurer.
So moved.
Don't you love Robert?
Sorry.
Moved and second.
Seconded and closed and all that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone want to move to vote on Director O'Brien being,
The
the motion's already in the table, so we don't.
It's part of the 1 through
Yeah.
13.
Beautiful.
So unless somebody wants to take it separately, it can be moved. We'll leave it voted on as the group motion.
Thank you. No, we're good, thank you.
Okay.
Now with Director O'Brien as our treasurer on item number
You
6.
accept his honor.
We'll entertain a vote for the entirety of section 5. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Director. Under section 6 personnel, we also have a whole bunch of items. I'll entertain a motion to approve 1 through 7 under section 6.
So moved.
Moved and seconded, thank you very much. Any questions or discussion? I'll thank Dr. Crowder again for the great presentation where you kind of mapped out a lot of good stuff going on. Thank you for clarifying that. If there's no other questions, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 7, student activities, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2 items under section 7.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you very much. Any questions or conversations? We'll vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Section 8, policy services, I'll entertain a motion to approve the second reading of our policy under section 8.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Old business, any director have any old business they'd like to discuss? Old business? No? No? New business, anybody has new business they'd like to discuss? All right, back to open forum, and Dr. Taylor, do we have any open forum questions for the public?
We do, we have one, Brittany, go.
Again, so now that you voted to hire the school police officer, I have some comments on that. So I asked in a couple of the superintendent forums, so I'm just following up, again. Have you guys as a district made contact or are planning to make contact with the HERE Foundation and Leon Ford or Black Women for Better Education or the Education Law Center about school police officers and the impact, especially armed police officers, have on children with disabilities in color, and how to integrate a police officer into the school building, because for some people, for some children of color, when they see an officer, they go into panic mode because their only interaction with them or what they've seen has been negative. And so I think it's very important that these conversations happen before we get back into the school year, especially at Carnegie, where there is a huge minority population there. And so I've already reached out to Black Women for Better Education. I'm having a sit down with them just for my own knowledge, but I'm happy to get you guys the contact information for them as a board if you'd like to sit down with them. Same with Leon Ford, he comes into Pittsburgh Public all the time to talk about community relations and police officers, because I think that's another vital role, is that especially children of color with disabilities see police as enemies sometimes. And so I just want to make sure I'm keeping it on the forefront with you guys, that this is very important. You guys made a decision.
I think I recall Dr. Kreider addressing that at the superintendent forum, and he said that he had been in contact with them.
I know, I'm following up at a public meeting, which I'm
I'm sorry, I was just trying to answer your question.
Yeah, I said I'm following up. The other thing is, I brought it up, implicit bias training. I know there's some that police go through, like this little training, but I just am curious if you guys, and for staff, if you've considered looking at implicit bias training for a district as a whole, for staff and administrators. And then, sorry. And then the other thing is I just wanted to bring up, because a couple people had asked, had made comments on Facebook about it. So I know Dr. Kreider, you had said at one of the forums too, I just, and I told them I would bring it up today, that you had said that you would be in agreement that ninth graders could participate in homecoming this coming year, as they felt very left out because they didn't feel like they belonged in middle school, and then they also didn't feel like they were a part of high school. So I just want to tell them I would bring it up to put it out on the forefront that you did say that, and that is
Still something to explore.
yeah, for them to look forward to. If they participate in homecoming football game, they should be able to go to the dance as well. So that's all I have.
Thanks for your comment. I will quickly echo your points around the police officer. I think this board had a really rich discussion over the last 6 months about our desires to have that person be a key part of our team and servicing all of our students, and making sure that person was embraced by the students as a resource and in a collaborative way. So I think the kinds of things you asked about are absolutely the spirit of the board and the administration. Those are the kind of things that we think about. So I'm sure, I saw Dr. Kreider writing lots of notes. I'm sure, as Chris noted, he's already reached out to a lot of those notes. So that's the things that you asked about, and the things that we embrace. So that's a no-brainer. So.
And I appreciate that. As a mother of African-American children, that's always my white privilege won't ever protect them. And so I need to make sure that your white privilege also, you recognize that and protect our children.
That's good. Dr. Taylor, anybody else on the list?
You, Darcy Snowman.
I just want to bring up special education and my concerns after hearing about Dr. Surdy moving over, which she has done a fabulous job with what is happening currently over there at Crafton. But then we also have an AS teacher that is resigning, so that's an open position. We'll have director of special education as an open position, and we never were able to hire a behavioral specialist that I know was brought up. We created a position sometime last year. So just think about contingency plans. What if we don't get people? So I need to know this, right? My child is going to be a 4th grader, so I need to know what the plans are, how the setup will be, and just taking into consideration all that and communicating it back to us as soon as you guys know. And trying to continue to build that program because it still needs a lot of work down there, so. That's all.
Just, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so we plan to post for those positions. Director of Special Education, we plan to post now that this agreement has been approved. Just accepted the resignation, so we'll be able to post for position for the life skills autism support teacher. And we do continue to have applications for the behavior specialist position as well, that we plan to interview coming up this summer as well. So
The behavior, the problem with that position is salary. That's a huge, you're on a teacher salary where these people have a lot of education, and it shouldn't really be a teacher salary position. So that's probably gonna be hard. As we've seen so far, I think it's listed since October maybe. Yeah, so.
Darcy, a quick comment. What you noted about last year, we had a difficult transition with personnel. And Dr. Surdy did such a great job stepping in and helping me. It's such a palatable, she did an amazing job. And so having her involved and knowing her level of commitment to the students, that will ease that transition, even if we don't have all the right people at the right time. She's such a critical piece, and so we're grateful. And I'm sure I heard you espouse her capability before, so we're grateful to have her in that role, and we'll keep pushing forward, but thanks.
And I don't think she'll completely drop us, right? So, but she's worked so hard, so, I'm glad she's still with the district.
Dr. Taylor, anybody else under open forum? No. Any luck? Reese?
Just to let you guys know, you had mentioned there's a June work meeting. There's, when you go on the website, you go to like boards and it's like the calendar and agendas, and there's like the static document. That one hasn't been updated yet, I'm sure. No, it just missed the mark, but I wanted to let you guys point it out to you guys.
Thank you, good point. So it's June 24th.
June 24th, yeah, Tuesday at the regular work session time at 6 o'clock. Yeah, the static document was not updated, but we pushed it on Facebook and other places. That's good feedback, appreciate it.
All right, board members, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just have three super quick things, and they all came up as a result of this meeting, or I would have put on the list. I want to ask Joe, with the bankruptcy of PTC, is there any chance of picking up personnel from that organization for Parkway?
Yes, there's a chance.
Good. Yeah, just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other two things are more acknowledgement than anything else. But I'm very fortunate that I can participate in the free lunch program that distributes lunches throughout the district on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I just wanted to thank the district and the board for their support of that and their participation. So thank you for that. And then lastly, I just wanted to say it was thank you for everyone's involvement in the parade we had last week. It was that was a lot of fun, and it was great to see the band and everyone else who was with the school representative.
Thank you.
That's my three things.
Thank you, Terry. Any other board open forum questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
I'll move.
Good move.
A second.
Okay.